So I think it's safe to say that the Hitcher on 4K Blu-ray has been one of the most hotly anticipated 4K Blu-ray releases of 2024. It seems like a lifetime ago that it was first teased by Second Sight, way back maybe in 2023, might even have been as early as late 2022. I might be wrong, but it was certainly last year anyway. And ever since then, I've been excited, as have many in the Blu-ray kind of collecting community. So I was really fortunate to be sent out a press release copy well ahead of its release actually by AIM Publicity, so thanks for that, on behalf of Second Sight Films here in the UK. They sent me out early production copies of the 4K and the Blu-ray, but I will be predominantly focusing on the 4K, of course, in this video. So I'll be reviewing its picture quality, what I think of the video and audio, and of course the plethora of newly recorded and produced special features that have been added to this new release from Second Sight. And let me tell you, it does not disappoint, and it has lived up to the hype, I can assure you. So stick around and I'll be jumping into all things The Hitcher on 4K Blu-ray very shortly. So thanks for sticking with us, folks. Just before we jump into talking about the audio quality and what the transfer is like on this release, I just want to speak a little bit about the film. So when Robert Harmon's The Hitcher came out back in 1986, it was not well revered at all by critics and moviegoers alike. The film was made for $6 million, that was its estimated budget, and it barely made that back at the global worldwide box office, falling just short of that, around 5,800,000 I think it was. Critics were not happy, certainly back in the day in 1986, and most famously Robert Ebert described the movie as being diseased and corrupt. I don't think people really seen the point of it and just thought it was an exercise in kind of needless violence and body horror. But I think they kind of missed the point, and I think audiences and critics alike are a bit more, shall we say, accepting of kind of violent horror thrillers these days. So it wasn't until it be released on VHS, the booming VHS rental market at the time in the late 80s, that it would start to find an audience and gain kind of cult status, along with Rutger Hauer's popularity. I think it's safe to say since it has become a bit of a classic of the genre, and I certainly regard it as a cracking film from the 80s, as well as many others out there. I'm sure people watching this video have a lot of love for it as well. So I think it's very fitting that it's now within Second Sight's roster, and it's great that it's been given the 4K treatment and all these new special features for long-standing fans to dive into. The movie has a very simple premise where the kind of young lead protagonist is just a young American on what he calls as a drive away, where he has to get a vehicle that's been purchased by someone from another state from one place to the other. We don't get any backstory on him really. He's just going on the road and he meets Rutger Hauer.
Hi, kid.
And decides to give him a lift because he's standing at the side of the road hitching. Very, very quickly in the film we established that Hauer is an absolute sociopath, psycho, violent killer, homicidal maniac type character, played brilliantly by Rutger Hauer. I don't think anyone could have done it justice, just quite how Rutger Hauer does it. He just brings that kind of creepy intensity that he doesn't even have to really say much. It's all in the eyes, those piercing blue eyes, and just his kind of quirky behaviour on screen that only he kind of pulls off. He's really menacing and brilliantly cast, in my opinion. Anyway, he becomes John Ryder, the kind of unknown, mysterious Hitcher, who just decides to give C. Thomas Howell the absolute worst day of his life. And it's a kind of boy becomes the man story from there on in. It is very violent, however, I think by today's standards, it's not that bad. It has one particular scene which viewers might find a bit wincing. That's the kind of famous scene where one of the female characters is strapped between a trailer and the cabin and is threatened to be pulled apart. Quite kind of harrowing stuff to watch, but I would say everything else in there is quite tame by today's standards, although it is kind of relentlessly violent from beginning to end. The set pieces in this film are fantastic for 86. It's beautifully shot by DP John Seal, who would go on to win an Oscar actually for his work as the DP on The English Patient, as well as countless other movies. One of the more kind of recent ones he's done of note is actually Mad Max Fury Road, probably because he's Australian and he maybe has some kind of kinship with George Miller. Pulling that out my hat there, I don't know if that's the case, but that's what I'm guessing, that's what I'm going for anyway. So when you add all that in there, the great casting, the fantastic cinematography from John Seal, and that kind of pumping synth score, which hasn't really aged, it's almost became modern again now that there's a kind of resurgence in kind of 80s nostalgia, and we're seeing more and more bands kind of playing on that kind of retro synth 80s vibe. So if you haven't seen The Hitcher, it's definitely worth watching, and I would absolutely be eyeing up this release from Second Sight. So that's a good jumping off point. So when it comes to the audio and video on this new 4K transfer, it's a complete overhaul. My understanding is that there hasn't actually been a UK available Blu Ray release of The Hitcher. I think there's a German release that had been floating around for some time that you could obviously order on Amazon, should you wish. Maybe find it on second-hand markets. But my understanding was it wasn't the best and it was in need of an upgrade. So Second Sight has jumped in there and done us that favour. They haven't pulled any punches. They've taken a lot of time with it. As I say, they had kind of documented the progress with it over their social media channels where they kept teasing us with it. But I was quite happy that it was taking a while because I think we knew that Robert Harmon was overseeing it. I think John Seal might have had something to do with it as well, and they were taking their time to restore it meticulously so that we didn't end up with something like we've had recently with the kind of James Cameron controversial releases. This is nothing like that, by the way. I know that was the previous review that I did. There's nothing to worry about with regards AI upscaling and all that. This is a meticulously done transfer, which I'm sure all the kind of cinephiles out there will appreciate. They've gone back to the original film elements, the 35mm negative. This film was shot in Panavision using standard 35mm, and they've obviously rescanned it and taken the time to go over it frame by frame. So it's a native 4K transfer of the movie, and it is presented in HDR with Dolby Vision as well for those that are Dolby Vision capable. That's how I watched the movie, as I watch most of my movies that have the Dolby Vision treatment, and I watch it on Dolby Vision Dark when I'm assessing it and when I take the images. I have taken some images of the movie presented in Dolby Vision Dark on my Sony A90J OLED, and as I say, I keep all the kind of settings the same. I don't use any kind of back-end processing. I try to get it as authentic as I can. It's not a calibrated OLED, but it is set to the most kind of accurate out-the-box picture settings, just to give you the best, most kind of reference photographs. I think you'll agree looking at it that it looks absolutely stunning. As I say, the DP John Seal's work on this is fantastic, and I've tried to get some of the shots that I think are the kind of most beautiful, but all the kind of outdoor stuff is so vibrant and well realised. There's still a lovely coating of film grain in there, so obviously when they've scanned it, yes, they'll have DNR'd it somewhat to get rid of that coarse grain that gets pulled out when you do a 4K scan of a negative, but it's been done really well. You can tell that the time's been done, and it's been done by hand, shall we say, and there's still a lovely coating of film grain there. It really is an exemplary transfer of a movie shot in the 80s, and it does John Seal's work justice. I think colours really pop, really vibrant. I think there's an image I've got in here of Jennifer Jason Leigh's pink cardigan. You see it popping off the screen. Anything that's done kind of exterior wise just looks so rejuvenated, so fresh. It's an absolute feast on the eyes to watch. In the darker shots, obviously it was filmed in 35mm, and that does tend to create a wee bit more noise when it's kind of naturally lit darker scenes. That's what I'm led to believe anyway. And you can kind of see that in the kind of darker scenes, the stuff that take place at the beginning of the film. It's a bit kind of noisier, there's more kind of grain, but that's just a natural byproduct of shooting with film at night, is my understanding anyway. So that's authentic to how it probably looked back in the theatres. I've not watched this film in a really long time, so I don't have the luxury of being able to refer to a DVD or that German Blu Ray to kind of compare it. But I don't need to, because I've seen enough movies well done. I've watched thousands of movies over my time, and I can understand when something looks authentic if it's been shot on 35mm, and that's certainly how this looks. I know this is going to please, as I say, purists out there and the cinephiles that want it restored as faithfully and as accurately as possible. So I think Second Sight have done a fantastic job here with this disc, and I can't see anyone really being disappointed with it. Onto the audio, and as I say, an all-round upgrade here. So you do get Dolby Atmos, but what will please all the kind of original fans of this movie is that they have still included the 2-channel original audio on the disc as well. And what I quite like, and as a nice touch, you'll see that the image I've put up here from the disc is that it's actually the default track. So you do have to kind of go in and change it to the Atmos, because fair enough, the Atmos is an upgrade, it's not how it was originally presented. So if you just stick it on, you don't change any settings, you will be listening to that DTS 2.0 stereo track. So the original audio is there if you want it. I'm certainly more someone who likes to go for the Atmos, especially a film like this that I've not seen for ages. I'm not going to remember what the original 2-channel setup was, and I have an Atmos capable setup, so I'm sticking the Atmos on all day long. It was very, very good. I can't really kind of say anything that was overly dynamic about it, but it just delivers what you want as a kind of modern revision of an older film. Plenty loud, the dialogue was nice and clear. I felt like all the channels were being used, even the overhead, even if there wasn't anything overly dynamic in it. No kind of really obvious object-based audio, objects being moved around the sound space that I could hear to my ear anyway, although I do have a kind of primitive 2-channel overhead setup. It's not the best for getting the kind of overhead activity, but it is really immersive, and it's the way I prefer to listen to it. So it's nice that they have taken the time to create an Atmos track, and I would recommend sticking that one on if you're capable. As I say, just remember it won't default to that like some kind of modern releases, so if you want the Atmos, just remember to go into the settings and change it accordingly. So that's what to expect on the audio and visual side of things. I've kind of gone away from ranking. I used to actually give my reviews a kind of rank out of 5, but I felt everything was falling into that kind of 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5, 3.5 at worst bracket, so I don't really do the star system anymore. I'm just going to tell you whether or not it's worth your money, and this is absolutely worth your money. Get the 4K version. I've got a few second sight titles now, and they never disappoint. I've yet to come across a second sight title which isn't kind of faithful to how I'd expect the film to look given how it was shot technically. They always go above and beyond with their packaging. They get in the best artists to create, in my opinion, very modern and to my taste artwork for their kind of special editions. So you know what you're getting with second sight. And with this one, it just looks so beautiful. Like I say, I was really impressed with the cinematography. It betrays that kind of B-movie budget and B-movie reputation that this movie has, just how kind of beautifully shot it is. So get the 4K, get the bells and whistles version, I would say. Don't have to go for the box set, we'll talk about versions shortly. But if you've got the budget, I would splash out and get the $24.99 4K for this one, for sure. Can highly recommend it. I'll speak briefly about the special features. I thought the special features in this disc are fantastic. It's maybe why it's taken so long, because they've really went above and beyond getting all these new special features for it. I'm not going to list them all out because it'll be there all day, but I will put on screen an image of what you can expect from the press release as far as the special features go. I have watched some of them. I really enjoyed the new interview with the director, Robert Harmon. I thought it was really insightful actually. He tells some really kind of funny anecdotes about Rutger Hauer and how much he likes to kind of improvise and how much he likes to put his own stamp on the character, and to the point that he was actually warned about this by Paul Verhoeven as well, who just came off working with him for the final time on Flesh and Blood. So I don't want to say too much more about it because I want you to enjoy those kind of little trinkets yourself. But there's 2 commentary tracks on it. There's a legacy one that has the director, and there's a kind of newly recorded one, and there's loads of new featurettes, interviews, one with C. Thomas Howell, one with the DP John Seal, and too many to mention, to be honest. One I will mention though is that the short film China Lake that Robert Harmon did prior to The Hitcher and kind of helped land him that job is really worth a watch. I think it's really cool that's been included. So you're getting a 30-minute movie, which is well worth a watch if you like The Hitcher. It's kind of similarly themed. It's about a rogue cop who basically takes time off to just terrorise members of the public, just to satisfy his own kind of nihilistic, sick appetite. And it's quite kind of chilling. It's not as on the nose, it's not violent or as gory as The Hitcher, but it's more subtle. It doesn't really have any explanation. You just kind of have to make your own mind up with it. The actor that plays the cop, his name escapes me now, but I just remember him being in Rambo 2. But he's kind of really good in the role, and it's definitely worth a watch. And you can see how China Lake has kind of influenced what Harmon would do in The Hitcher. There's definitely a kind of relationship between the two, but it's definitely worth checking out, and I think it's really cool that they've included it in this release of The Hitcher. So well worth your money. I would say this is one you absolutely have to add to your collection. If you've been following my channel for a while and you know my taste, hopefully you trust me by now when I tell you that The Hitcher is worth getting. It's a cracking wee film. It never slows down, really worth watching, and it's one that you kind of take from it what you will. But I enjoy its subtlety when it comes to plot and the kind of character behaviours and their motivations, and it doesn't kind of spoon feed you anything. You kind of watch it and you can notice little things about their costumes, what they wear, what they say, and you kind of flesh out the backstory for like John Ryder, for example, in your own time. And yes, it's quite violent, but again, nothing that's going to be overly wincing compared to modern standards today, I would suggest. So don't let that be a barrier to stop you enjoying this film, and I think it's one you can definitely add to your collection. Thing to know about special features is with Second Sight, they're really good at not kind of baiting you into getting the top end. So all the special features will be available even on the Blu Ray edition. So definitely get that Blu Ray edition, add this to your collection, but I think you should splash out and get the 4K because it's a beautiful 4K transfer. There is a box set, and that's the one that I have ordered, because you can see over my shoulder there I've got the Drive one from Second Sight already, so I'm keen to add another one to the collection because that's absolutely stunning. So this will be my second Second Sight box set. As much as I got this sent out, I'm paying for that with my own money, but it will arrive obviously when this releases on the 30th of September. And I can't wait to get in about it, and I'll definitely be doing an unbox video on the channel. So that's maybe a reason to subscribe. If you've enjoyed the video, enjoyed my kind of deep dive style into my 4K reviews, the authenticity of it, then please consider subscribing to the channel. I'll be doing an unboxing of the box set obviously when it arrives next week, and I've also got actually a really good live stream lined up with the artist behind it. So that's Adam Stothard. He's going to come on probably sometime next week. As I say, subscribe to the channel to find out, keep updated. But in the very near future, he's going to come on a live stream and he's going to discuss working for Second Sight, how he came up with this new artwork for the Hitcher, and about the other titles that he's done for Second Sight. So hopefully that'll be an interesting live stream. I'm looking forward to meeting Adam, and you guys can fire questions to Adam with regards what it's like working for Second Sight and how he comes about his designs and maybe what they look for as a label. So loads of stuff to look forward to, and as I say, make sure you subscribe or else you'll miss out. As always, all the relevant links will be in the description should you want to pre-order yourself any copy of the Hitcher in 4K. I highly recommend it. I am affiliated with Amazon, so if you go through the Amazon link, you will be supporting the channel. Absolute peanuts, but it does help the channel out, so I'll appreciate it if you do that, and I will stick the link down to Second Sight should you just want to order direct from them. But one final shout out before I go, I'd just like to say a big thank you to the clothing brand Last Exit to Nowhere. So this is a Last Exit tee, first time wearing it on this video, and I actually did a little kind of podcast episode a few months ago now with Jamie, who's the kind of face of Last Exit, and he came on and we talked about the brand, and then we just got into talking about movies and physical media. I really enjoyed chatting with Jamie actually, and I think some of my regular subscribers enjoyed that one as well. So if you want to kind of circle back, you can obviously watch that episode, and I'll leave a link for that in the description. But months after the fact, we'd been kind of talking back and forward, and Mike, the owner of the company, just said he wanted to kind of say a thank you and reach out by sending me out some of the shirts. So he let me pick 3 shirts, 3 cracking shirts, which you'll be seeing popping up soon in my videos as I wear Last Exit stuff anyway. But I just wanted to say a kind of public thank you to Mike and Jamie and the guys at Last Exit to Nowhere for sending out these t-shirts, and there'll be a link down there for the clothing brand. I'm not affiliated in any way or anything like that. It's nothing, it's just because I like the guys over there and I love wearing their t-shirts, and I'm proud to kind of wear them on the channel, and it was nice of the guys to send them out. So get down there and check out the link for Last Exit. Their designs are fantastic, and as I say, a lot of the t-shirts I wear, if you like them, that's where I get them from. But I've been Andy Electric Geek. Please let me know in the comments what you think of the Hitcher. Have you pre-ordered it? And do you think it's a bit of an underrated classic? I certainly do. So stick down your thoughts on the video, because I enjoy getting a chat with you in the comments section. But that's it for this one. Keep the physical media fires alive, and I'll see you in the next video.